Good morning, my friends. Raul Lopez Jr. here, author of Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. Check it out, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. All about healing from trauma and finding who you are and what you're meant to do. Remembering who you were. Remembering who you are, but remembering who you were before society told you who to be. This message today is about the movie The Joker. Have you seen the movie The Joker? There's so many reviews about it and they're all mixed. Some people just simply say it's so violent, can't stand it, and other people say it's brilliant. Now, my opinion of that movie is on the whole mental health side of it. At the end of that movie, the Joker says something to the effect of, "I don't think you'd understand." And that's the problem. That's the challenge with people who don't deal with mental health issues themselves. They don't understand that movie and what happened in that movie. The evolution of him as the Joker are just a human being in itself. But if you've lived with mental health issues, trauma in your childhood, you completely understand. And let me tell you, I completely understand. I just told you the name of my book, Heal the Boy and the Man Will Appear. I dealt with trauma in my young life, and it took me on a path of just being lost. And this is what I see in that movie, Joker. Now, if you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, you may not want to listen to the rest of this, because I'm going to talk about the movie and what I saw happen and evolve in him and what he was seeking and needing and what he found. But just as so many of us do that are in that same position. So again, I'm going to talk about the movie. If you haven't seen it and you plan on watching it, come and watch this video after you've seen it. The Joker was traumatized as a child and didn't even remember. He blacked it out. He was abused by his mother's boyfriend. He was neglected by his mother. They found him chained to an old heater or something, malnourished. And he didn't even remember that. Over the movie, it develops and he figures it out and he's told and he reads about what happened to him as a child. And I think he kind of understands why he is the way he is. But here's the bigger part of it. Being traumatized myself, we lose ourselves. We're split. We go from this whole young, wonderful, loving child that we all are when we're born. We're here as light for the earth to create joy and to pass on joy and to teach and to love and to go after our dreams. But things happen to us as a child and we lose it. I do this because we're split into 2 and 3 people because we lose our whole self. Your whole self is more powerful than you can imagine. And I want to take you back to your whole self. That's my whole goal in life. My whole goal in my teachings and my trainings and my book and everything that I'm working on right now moving forward to offer to people to help them heal from their trauma. The Joker was abused and went through trauma. With that, he was split, his split personality, and he didn't know who he was. He had these weird little things. He laughed uncontrollably. When he would get nervous, he would laugh with the Joker laugh that he has. And people misunderstood it. They didn't understand it. What's so funny? And they would attack him because he was a little bit different. He was a little bit odd. So people would go after, attack him. It happened to me when I was a kid, when I was lost. I would cry and I was hurt and I was broken and people would make fun of me. And I would lash out. That's what he did in this movie. It was not uncommon. It's a movie. But whoever wrote this movie, in my opinion, has experienced this or understands it. Because you can't write out a movie like this and script a movie like this if you don't understand it. This is going to be a long video, but it's worth listening to. He was lost. People made fun of him. People beat him up. He was different based on the trauma from his childhood and being split into personalities. All he wanted was for somebody to hear him, to understand him. All I wanted growing up was somebody to understand how I felt. Nobody could. To this day, the people that don't deal with mental health or haven't had mental health challenges don't understand it. It's not their fault. They're not doing anything wrong, but they haven't dealt with it, so they don't understand it. All he wanted was somebody to hear him, was somebody to understand where he's coming from, how he feels, help him understand why he feels the way he feels, why he acts the way he acts, why he does the things that he does. Unfortunately, he found the attention that he wanted, that he needed, the fulfillment, the attention, significance he found in doing the wrong thing. Because it was the first time he'd ever felt anything when he stuck up for himself, but he went overboard. When I was a kid and I was lost and I didn't know where I was at or who I was, split personalities created this alter ego, I found significance in committing crimes, in fighting, in doing drugs, in partying, in having lots of girlfriends. Why? Because it was where people gave me attention. I grew up in an environment where the more jail time you did, the more significant you were. The people in my circle that were in juvenile hall at the time were the ones who were respected. And the kids who were in juvenile hall looked up to the guys who were in prison. And the longer sentences they had done, the more respect they got. We find significance in the wrong, I was going to say industry. We find it in the wrong area of our lives. For some reason, we're seeking, and it comes through doing the wrong thing, committing crimes, being violent. In The Joker, he finally defended himself after being beat up a couple of times for nothing other than just being himself, his lost self, and people picking on him, beating him up. And somebody handed him a gun to protect himself, and he said, I shouldn't have this gun. He knew he shouldn't have that gun. And the next time 3 people started to beat him up, he pulled out that gun and he just shot him. And the last of the 3, the last one he shot, he just unloaded. And he felt a form of strength, of significance. He stuck up for himself. So what he associated this power was with killing, unfortunately. He wasn't given the love and the attention that he needed because he was weird, per se, according to society. But when he shot those men, protecting himself, he felt alive. He felt significant, right? You can find significance in many ways, in good or bad, right? People find significance in the way they do their hair, in the fancy cars they drive, in the way they dress, in, proud of the church they go to, proud of the job title they have. You can find significance in any way. We all find it. We all are seeking it, and we find it in certain ways. I found it in people saying, Raul, that's what they called me. He's crazy. He'll do anything. That made me feel good. And I continued to do the things that I knew were wrong because I found significance in it. The Joker shot and killed these people defending himself. He overboard, obviously. I'm not saying it was okay that he killed himself. It was a movie. But he killed these guys. He overkilled them, but he felt the power, the significance of it. He found the significance in the wrong way, and he became alive. And then from there, he kind of found out by seeking that he was adopted, that he was abused, these things that happened to him. Now, when he killed these guys in the movie, he was dressed up as a clown because that was his job. He was a clown. So nobody saw his face because he had all his makeup and everything on. And the guys that he happened to kill were three rich, I think they were rich or financial or whatever, and worked in the financial district. And so the poor people, the way the movie was set up, the poor people liked what he did, right? So they started to wear clown masks and protest against how the rich people treated the poor people. And he created this movement all around Gotham, right? It's a movie, The Joker. All around Gotham, he created this movement where people were praising him. Now, they didn't know who he was, but they were praising the clown in the act, and they were wearing masks, and they were acting like him. And nobody knew it was him, but he saw it. And he started to feel even more significance over killing these people. So I'm going to jump towards the end. He goes on a TV show. And on this TV show, he's dressed up as the clown, the Joker. And he has found the significance based on the community backing him. And before he comes out onto this show, he says, hey, when you introduce me as Joker. And the guy's like, okay. The guy had brought him on a TV show. It's a TV show kind of like, I don't know, a late night show. I don't know what they're called. But a late night show, like all I could think of was Johnny Carson. That's pretty old, but that type of show. And he comes out, and they invited him on the show because somebody had filmed him doing stand-up comedy where he bombed. He sucked, and he didn't do well. Nobody laughed. And so the guy had showed clips of that. The TV show had showed clips of it earlier, making fun of him. And then they found him and said, hey, come on the show. I think they wanted to make fun of him some more. So he took on this persona and the clown and the Joker and dyes his hair green, and he turns himself into Joker. And then he says, when you bring me out, call me Joker. So they invite him out, and he's sitting there live on TV, big crowd, and he's talking to the host, and he admits that he killed those three guys. And he basically says because they deserved it. And then he looks at the host and he says, in short, you brought me on this show to make fun of me. And he says, now I'm going to give you what you deserve. And he shoots him and kills him live on TV, right? So now there's people dressed up in clown suits rioting in the streets. And the police get him. They don't show up, but the police take him, and they're taking him to jail. And he's driving through the streets in the back of the cop car, and he could see all these people rioting in clown faces, basically backing him up, right? Supporting him and what he's done. And he sees it, and you see the smile on his face and this acceptance that he's been seeking his whole life, because he's been lost his whole life, hurt, broken from the trauma. And his entire life, people have ignored him, haven't understood him, have beat him up, have treated him bad because he's kind of weird, he's different. But now he has these people backing him up, and they see him. They want to be like him. And it's for the wrong reason. But he finds significance in these people supporting him. The streets are rioting, clown faces, people dressed up like he is. He's in the back of his car. He's still in his Joker face and green hair and outfit. And a car comes and rams the police car. The cop in the car is knocked out or dead, I don't know. The Joker's knocked out. They bring him, the people come and bring him out of the car, and they lift him in the air, and they set him on the hood of the car. And they're cheering for him, and he's knocked out. And then he wakes up. And this hundreds of people are around him cheering him. And he stands up on this car. And he puts his head back, and he's just filled by the attention of these people. He feels loved. He feels honored. He feels wanted. And he puts his head back, and he just engulfs himself in it. And he appears. The Joker appears. Unfortunately, the trauma led to all this. But he's enlightened. He gets what he needs. He gets what he's been seeking. And he found it in the wrong way. And he became the Joker. But that goes back to so many people who are in prison, who are juvenile hall, who are in prison, who are locked up, who are just lost. Because we find our significance in the wrong thing. For whatever reason, society welcomes us for doing the wrong thing. There's a subculture who will honor you for how much time you've gotten. Who will respect you because you've got so many years incarcerated, because you've committed these crimes. And if that's the only way a lost child can find a significance, that's where we land. That's where we end up. That's what we go after. So this movie, Joker, is a story of so many lives. And he's just awakened, and he finds success in the wrong thing. And they're cheering for him. He's standing on this car, and he's just engulfed in love for the wrong reasons. But he finds what he's been looking for. At the very end, he's captured, and he's in an insane asylum, and he's talking to the counselor or whoever, and they ask him just these empty questions. And he knows they don't hear him, and he knows they don't even care. But now that he's found himself as Joker, he protects himself and he kills. Not saying it's okay. I'm just saying what he does and why. And he's laughing because it's uncontrollable. As I mentioned earlier, it's a symptom he has when he gets nervous or he doesn't feel right. Something's wrong internally. He laughs with this crazy Joker laugh. And he can't stop. And they don't understand him. And the counselor looks and says, "What is so funny?" And instead of trying to explain his pain, his misunderstanding, his loss, his emptiness, he just says, "Oh, I thought of a joke." Right? The mask. He literally wears a Joker's mask. But we in society, not in a movie, we wear masks, right? And we cover and we try and smile and we act like everything's okay. And we're broken. But we put on a mask. So she asked him, "Why are you laughing? What's so funny?" And he's tired of explaining it. He knows she doesn't understand. She won't get it. And he says, "Oh, I thought of a joke." And she says, "Tell me the joke." And he just looks at her. And he says, "I don't think you'd understand." And that was basically the end. I think he kills her and then he takes off. But I don't think you'd understand. Something in that form. And those words were so powerful. Because anybody dealing with mental health will put on that mask and answer the questions the way you want to hear them so that you can just leave us alone. Because you don't understand. I don't think you'd understand. Are such powerful words. I've dealt with it. I've lived through it. I understand a lot of it. And that movie has a lot of meaning to it. If you've dealt with mental health issues, if you're dealing with them now, because they don't go away, you can find ways to work through them and have great days and live your life. But if you have mental health issues and it's from trauma, or you don't know what it's from, I would watch the movie. There is violence in it. But if you're experiencing mental health issues, you'll understand it. And you'll see where it comes from. You'll see what the story comes from. It's a great movie, Joker. And the people who understand it are the ones who have lived through some trauma. And they're either experiencing it now and hopefully you get a message from it. Or you've come through it and you see it and you do understand it. Not everybody understands what I'm talking about. Those who do, continue to do the work. Continue to study, continue to seek, continue to learn, continue to understand that we are conditioned, that we are conformed, that we have psychological associations, neuroassociations to things that happened to us when we were a kid, and our personalities are based on that right now. The way we react to things are based on those things right now. If you understand those concepts that I'm talking about, those theories that I'm talking about, your whole life will change. So whether you talk to me or somebody else, seek the answers. Understand where things are coming from. That movie is a movie about mental health and how we become lost and how, unfortunately, we find our significance in the wrong ways. Enjoy the day. If you watch this whole video, congratulations. I hope you got something out of it. God bless you. And continue to seek. Enjoy the day.